Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back and welcome to 20 for 10. What the heck does 20 for 10 mean, Kev? It means that my pins are set 20, 30, 40, and 50, and I only got 4 pins. Unless I can pull a pin out of another site, well, I'm gonna have to live with it, and so will you. So a lot of us have 4-pin sites, 3-pin sites, 5-pin sites, who knows, right? So the more pins you have, the more ranges you can achieve. But then things get a little weird because, well, depending on the power of your bow and the weight of your arrows, depends upon pin spacing and whether or not you're going to even be able to use all those pins. On 3-pin, definitely. 4-pin, yes sir. 5-pin, it gets a little dicey. Depends on what you're doing. Now, this bow is set to 56 pounds. I'm running 527 grain logs out of this thing. And you can see my pin spacing gradually gets bigger, okay? And so our 50 pin is pretty damn close to the bottom. And yeah, it's only got about 1/8 of an inch lower that it can go, which is definitely not gonna get me 60 yards, guaranteed. I know it because I've tried it and it ain't gonna work. However, this 20, 30, 40, 50, this is great for shooting at our archery club with. It's great for shooting at home for practice too. But I like to shoot at different yardages, and I'm sure you do too, because I would probably venture a guess that at least 80% of hunters out there that are shooting bow, okay, especially compound, are using a manual sight. The rest of us are probably using high precision sights, which means spot hog fast eddies, which means HHA sights, and so on, that are high precision, dial it in as you go sights. And then of course, tournament type class shooters, they're likely all going to be running, for the most part, some sort of a high precision dial it in sight. Because, well, it only makes perfect sense. If you want a precision shot at all these multiple different ranges, you need a precision sight you can just dial to what you need, and that works. Where this, there's a guessing game involved. That's why we're calling this 20 for 10, because my first pin is set at 20 yards. I'm shooting from 10 yards, and what we want to know is if we aim at the bullseye here from 10 yards and we're at 20, where's it going to land, and how do we correct that by just kind of guesswork, okay? But a little bit of math is involved in this too, and it's not 100% rocket science, but it's about 95%. So let's go back to 10 yards. I'm going to leave the camera here. You guys can watch where they land. All right, so we've let fly 3 arrows, okay? Now, this one here and this one are the closest. This one's the furthest away because, well, that could have been a little bit of bow jerk on my behalf, which you need to do this with 3 shots and get your average, okay? At least this is what I've come up with. So we definitely eliminate that one out of the competition. It's gonzoed. So now we got these two. Now, at a rough guess, that's a good 4 inches, okay? Maybe a little over 4. This is definitely cutting her close. We're talking 2.5 to 3 inches. So what I want to do is I want to kind of go with the one that hit the lower first, because this could still been a slight pull. This is why we gotta focus so much and don't move the bow until we know it's actually hit the target, because any sudden movement within a millisecond is gonna go over there, and maybe up into this target, you never know. So, okay, so now we got our average, okay? So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna say, okay, the closest one that came to it, that's where we're gonna start aiming. So I'm gonna aim here for the bottom of this orange ring, and I'm gonna fire 3 shots, same spot each time, and hopefully I don't screw it up and Mother Nature bugs off for 5 minutes, and we can see what happens here. Now remember, the further the distance you're shooting at and you gotta try and get in closer to, this will change position. So you're gonna have to practice at all of them and then write down a cheat sheet. This is how many inches I gotta aim at this range and this range, etc. And you know, get your in-betweens enough, because you do get a couple of yards of plus or minus, depending upon your setup, that you can have no effect at all. So anyway, let's go do the right thing now, see what happens. Well, that be a dead animal. If that was an animal, it's toast. Now, I never said at any point during this video that I could guarantee you're gonna get it dead on bullseye, did I? No. But that's still very much in the kill zone of, well, I'd say the majority of animals out there that we're gonna hunt anyways with a bow. So that's pretty good. We stayed all within this blue circle, which keeps us right into a much tighter group, because I've got about almost a ½ inch of orange here, so that makes for a pretty tight area. So that's a very nice tight group in the end, and we all landed straight too, which is good. But our two best shots, of course, were these two. Either way, it's still going to be a dead animal. So you see where things land in I guess the word's correlation, I guess. I'm not sure if that's the right word to use, but anyway, once you figure out 10 yards on your 20 pin, then you got to figure out 15 yards. Where does 15 yards land on my 20 pin? Am I still good between 15 and 20? Because that's 5 yards, you know, that's like 15 feet. Am I still going to be good? If not, what is the difference in between? If I get that in between and I'm using my 20 pin, how much different do I have to aim? And then the 30 pin, and then the 40, and then your 50, obviously. Now, 50 to 60, I mean, I can't get 60 with the current draw weight of my bow with these arrows. But if I was using much lighter arrows, I could easily attain 60, 70, 80 yards, maybe even 100. Okay, but also that would require more bow poundage, because bow poundage is directly associated with the weight of your arrows too, in order to achieve maximum yardage capabilities. Okay, so the more draw weight you have, yes, you can run heavier arrows, but you'll want to also run lighter arrows to get more range. You're still going to get a lot of energy, that's for sure, but that energy will deplete faster with a lighter arrow than it does with a heavier arrow. And we already know that that is rocket science, that is got some factual backing up. But there is a breaking point too, where adding an extra, say, 127 grains from what I normally shoot is only going to give me 2 pounds difference. So why would I try shooting 2 pounds of extra weight when it's not going to benefit me in a long range situation? It's only going to benefit me in a short range situation, because I'll still be able to retain the majority of that same energy that, say, a 400 grain arrow would put out easily enough. I would retain the equal amount of energy at that point, or maybe a ½ pound to maybe 1 pound of extra energy I could achieve, but only at shorter ranges. This is a problem with shooting logs that a lot of people don't talk about, they don't think about probably, I don't know what it is, but there's a lot of stuff about heavy FOC and all this other stuff out there. And there is a lot of hokum, but there is a lot of facts. Yes, I agree on both sides of the fence. But in all my testing, all the math I've done and calculations and chronograph tests with different weighted of arrows and whatnot, I mean, seriously, running 527s over 400 grain, there's absolutely zero benefit that's going to give you past 30 yards. And the majority of hunters anyways are only shooting at mostly 35 yards. Now, just because you can shoot further, should you? I mean, you got to think about a clean, ethical kill here. You don't want to put 5 arrows to kill the damn thing. You want to put in 1. So 1 can happen at 35 and under. That also depends on your draw weight and the weight of the arrows too. And the lesser the draw weight you have, the lesser these things are going to be useful too, because they're only good to a certain amount of minimum draw weight. If you go below that minimum spec, you'd be lucky to even get a 20-yard shot in, or a 25-yard shot. And if you do get it, okay, fine. But how much energy do you have? And you're running that arrow so damn slow. Now, slow is quiet, I get it. And it's a better chance at getting the animal. But you might hit it, but are you going to penetrate it? You need FPS and weight together, okay? And you also need the same. You got to find that balance of FPS and weight if you're going to shoot in between ranges on pin sights that don't adjust on a wheel, right? You got to figure out, okay, how much is this arrow good for at my maximum range? Where are my in-betweens? How is this going to be affected? Because if I throw a 400 grain arrow in this thing right now, I can pretty much almost guarantee that when I take the same shot here, which landed up in here, I'm going to probably be way up in here. And I know that for a fact because I've actually done this already. And I've seen the difference between a 4 and a 500, even at the same poundage. Okay, so I know that a lighter arrow, yes, is faster. Okay, and at a short range, it definitely has some awesome energy output too. But it's also going to hit much higher, right? So, and if you calibrated for 400 grain and you put in some sloppy slugs like this, you're going to go, okay? So you hit bullseye here. Well, now you're hitting way down here. Now you got to recalibrate your sight or add more poundage. I actually had to do both. I added more poundage and I recalibrated so I'd have room to get this thing to run 527s to 20, 30, 40, 50 yards. And I can't get a shot beyond 50 yards, okay? It ain't going to work because I'm out of pin space. So the only other way I could get it, in reality, without changing anything, is I got to push this sight down about a half an inch, probably, or yeah, even a quarter of an inch down more, but then it throws everything else off. Everything has to be recalibrated because this will be the new 60 and this will be God knows what, and the same with this and this, right? So you want to make sure your setup is dialed in for what you need and learn how to shoot between the pins to know what your optimal ranges are. So when you range find that animal, if you're a hunter, you will know exactly where to aim. If that animal is closer than your 30 or closer than your 40, because some guys will still hunt out to 40 yards, and that's fine. It's not a big deal. I mean, you can hunt a moose out to 50 yards. Okay, I mean, I'd probably want to hunt a moose to 50 yards myself too, because 50 yards, that's a lot of footage that he's away from me in case something goes wrong. I don't want to piss him off and have him charge me, so, because he'll definitely outrun me. He's got longer legs. So, you know, but you want that kill zone, right? You want that kill shot, and that means getting as close as you can without scaring the animal away. And unfortunately with deer, it kind of almost doesn't matter where you are. You're going to scare them, they're gone, right? So the closer you are, the better the chance you have at hitting, where the further away you are, the lesser your chance. I mean, higher the probability you're going to miss too. But anyways, that's just today's video, shooting 20 for 10 with a little bit of extras for you. And stuff I've been learning and going through myself, and I've been studying a lot about hunting because this is my first year hunting and I want to know what I'm doing too. So, but at least I won't be hunting with this. I'm working with a high precision spot hog sight, so I don't have to worry about all this in between stuff, but many of you may have to. So that's what I got for you. If you got questions, they go down below. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll definitely catch you on the next one. See ya.